And welcome into the STL Sports Central Postgame Show. I'm Sara Dayley alongside Ethan Hannaford. Of course, the Birds Bats take flight tonight in Chicago, coming up early and often, taking game one big by a final score of 12-2. This is what we like to see out of the Cardinals. A win's a win, even if it's against the White Sox, who are 23-50 right now at this point. But Ethan, what an exciting game. A lot of topics to cover here, but let's just start off with the victory. That's a good start for the Birds to take this final road stretch before they head back home.
Was muted there for a second to start. Good start there. You know, there's always a couple of things that now since we've gotten STL Sports Central going, there is further incentive for the Cardinals winning, and it's because we can be a little more happy in the chat. And Chewy's happy, the much needed win. Taylor's breathing easy tonight, saying exhale. Obviously, we all know how good that Brendan Donovan was tonight. We're going to talk about him a little bit. Victor Scott ends the night on a positive note as well. Listen, overall, this was just a good ball game. You're gonna have a hard time picking apart too much from tonight's contest. A 12-2 win. A lot looked good tonight for St. Louis. And most importantly, they get back in the win column. I think that the fan base as a whole could agree to nothing more than that they are going to be okay with just forgetting the past week. We don't need to harp on that. Let's move on. Let's get back to the good quality baseball that they had been playing prior to that. Also, just a heads up, if you hear some background noise on my side, there's an absolute monsoon right now in St. Charles, so I apologize for Mother Nature doing her thing. Something she's done, it feels like, all spring in St. Louis. But yeah, overall, great game tonight for the Cardinals. A lot to break down and talk about. So let's see where we take it.
But once again, this is the postgame show brought to you by Hot Shots. St. Louis is home for all the games all the time since 1990. Find yours at hotshotsnet.com. And also by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. But let's start from the very beginning, Ethan. Libby, a bounce-back start here. Exactly what the Birds needed. They needed to have a pitching start that they could rely on, something to really build off of, and that's exactly what they got out of him tonight.
Yeah, I got my my handy dandy opening day magnet schedule here that I've kept in here in my little office setup here where I do the shows to make sure I always have an immediate look here. And within the whole time that we've been talking about the month of June, whether it was leading up to it or during, right, you almost could break down June into two parts, right? Because there was one off day pretty much in the middle of June. They did have an off day on June 2nd, but they played from June 3rd to the 15th, and then they played from the 17th to July 2nd. Long stretches of baseball. So you felt like you could break it down into two parts, really. And this was the start of part two tonight. And you have to get it started on the right note. The Cardinals weren't able to do so in part one. We know how things went against the Rangers to kind of cap off the month of May. And the homestand was never felt right. I should say in large part. Those were some fun games against the Dodgers. But it's so important, right, to start off this second part of this long stretch on the right note. And honestly, few better teams in baseball to have against than the Chicago White Sox. We know that the state that their team is in right now, it's been a rough go of things on the south side of Chi-Town the last couple of years. And, that's continuing. They got some things, I think, moving a little bit more in the right direction. But overall, this is the team that the Cardinals, probably look at. And listen, like every team in the opponent's dugout is a professional ball club. Every single one of them. The White Sox have won the series against the Cardinals the last 2 years. So it's always going to be competitive regardless of who you're facing. It's a professional ball club. But this is one that you felt like the Cardinals needed to take advantage of and get back on the right track with this series. They most definitely did that tonight. Set the pace early. Matthew Liberatore looked very good. We know that his last three starts during that part one of June did not look good. The velo started to drop. He had the fatigue issues. We know that the fatigue that wasn't necessarily an issue, he said, in the last start, but started to move in the right direction. Still, the box score wasn't great. He was excellent tonight. As I pull up the box score here, Matthew Liberatore going 6 innings, 2-run ball, 5 hits, 4 strikeouts. But I think it really should have been 1 earned run when one of those was a little bit of a fielding blunder from Victor Scott, allowing a runner to advance. Overall, really liked what we saw from Matthew Liberatore tonight. The velocity looked pretty good. Topped out at 96.3. Everything was up in velocity compared to his yearly average. The fastball, the sinker, the curveball, the changeup, and the cutter. The slider was still down when you averaged it out, 0.5 mile per hour. The slider got hit a couple of times. That's, in my opinion, what has been his best pitch this year. So still maybe reworking that a little bit. Left that up a couple of times. A little bit of a bumpy start in the first. Back-to-back hits led to that first run. But the Cards offense had his back, and he did not look back. Overall, I'm going back to Taylor's comment here, specifically with Matthew Liberatore. Exhale, all right? So a good response from him, a good bounce back. It's going to be interesting to see how he navigates this. This is going to be new territory for him pretty soon, probably by his next start when it comes to total numbers of innings thrown on the year. He's already really at that point when it comes to number of pitches thrown. So it feels like I get why you'd be watching him every start with a little bit more of a closer eye on it, per se, just because you feel like he's so important. But tonight, really good stuff against him. I don't care who the opponent is on the other side. That's a professional ball club, and he looked good. That's something that St. Louis should be happy about, and hope he can build off of that.
A couple of comments here weighing in on what happened tonight in Chicago. But Roscoe saying, if you don't sweep the Sox, don't come home. Well, they're going to come home. But yes, I see your point. And no, Leo, it's not an oversized hat that I'm wearing. I had baseball tonight for the kids, grabbed one and went out the door, and this is what you get. So if it looks oversized, it's my fiance. So that's fine. It's a little bit bigger than what I would wear. A couple of other comments that we have. The north sides are looming. We need the momentum to gotta get hot. Yes, I understand, Taylor. That's absolutely what we want. And that's exactly what Ethan just mentioned. Coming in back to St. Louis and coming home, whether I know wins on the road are just as important as winning at home, but there is that momentum that you want. Coming back to Busch on a high note is a good thing. So when you come in on a bad side of the record or where you don't want to be, it's not going to be a good place to really try and get that momentum building. You want to keep that going. So another key topic tonight, Donovan leading off effectively. What a great situation. We know we talked about what we're going to do at the leadoff position because Nootbaar was going to be out for a while. Of course, he had lefty and lefty in that last couple of matchups. And here we are with a rearrangement, and it worked out well.
Yeah, I mean, Brendan Donovan looked excellent tonight. 4 for 5, 2 runs, an RBI, a double. If he would have, there was some talk about if he gets that 5th hit, he would have been the first Cardinal second baseman since 2002 to have 5 hits in a game. Unfortunately, struck out in his last at bat, but wouldn't surprise me if we're talking about him around that 5-hit category more this season, just because of how good he has been. This was his 3rd 4-hit game of the season. That ties him for the league lead with Aaron Judge, Rafael Devers, and Jacob Wilson. All I would say pretty good company to be in. I imagine all 3 of them will be all-star. Well, I would say all 3 of them would have been. Who knows with Devers now with him getting traded this close to the break. But all of them are all-star caliber. Brendan Donovan most definitely has been as well. And it goes to show just how important that leadoff spot is. The Cardinals, when Lars Nootbaar has been effective and has been at his best, he is getting on base, and the Cardinals are winning games, and that's been a huge trend setter for this club. And it clearly affected them when he wasn't getting on base, and the Cardinals were losing a lot more ball games. So it just goes to show how important a team like the Cardinals that can't rely on power. They can't rely on power very much. You have to be able to get the top of your lineup on base. They were able to do so tonight. It's not that there was a bunch of hard. It's not that early in the game when they had that 5-run second inning, there was a bunch of hard contact, but they found ways to get on base. Like I said, it just goes to show how important setting things, getting the things started at the top of the lineup is for you. And Brendan Donovan most definitely was that tonight. I like him in the heart of the lineup just because it lengthens out your lineup when he is there. But you love a guy like Brendan Donovan that can do whatever you want for him, whenever you need it. And that definitely was the case for him tonight. I imagine that spot will probably be his until Lars Nootbaar is himself of old. Then maybe we're having a conversation about it.
Well, and of course, we can turn, Burleson hitting his solo shot in the 7th to 6th on the year, adding to that. I just felt like everyone that we really wanted to contribute tonight did in some way. And it's good to see that. You want to see that collective contribution because we haven't been getting that. I know. I apologize. I have thunder, rain, hail, and then a cat. So I guess if I'm going to have all these distractions and a Cardinal win, I'll take it. But thank you, Samuel, for mentioning the cat and the distraction, because there's a lot of animals around here. So I'm surprised the chickens aren't like running behind the house. But, either way, it was so good to see. But again, just really seeing key contributors tonight. Herrera heating things up again as well. He notched 2 hits, 4 RBI, and that 2-run singles there early on. So again, key contributors that we really want to see. And we hope that continues, right? Because you don't want to just see here and there and the ups and downs of that roller coaster.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% consistency is key. We know how important this Cardinal offense has been. And as mentioned, the people wondering, well, why does it feel like the leadoff spot is so important to this Cardinal lineup specifically? First off, I mean, it's important no matter where you are in the league. It is for every team, but even more so for the Cardinals when you can't always rely on the home run ball to get you out of a spot. For the Cardinals, it's going to take, a couple of hits, three hits to be able to put together runs. And they've been able to do that at a very effective rate this year. Don't get me wrong, that's extremely impressive. But when you don't have your leadoff guy doing that, it hurts them so much more. So Brendan Donovan was great. A lot of guys were great in this lineup, though. I mean, you could almost go down and say something good about something that everyone did tonight. Ivan Herrera goes 2 for 5. He should have been 3 for 5. He got robbed of a home run early in the ball game. What a great play made there by Michael A. Taylor. That was fun to watch and kept the White Sox kind of ish in the game there for a little while. Alec Burleson. Oh, my God. What can you say about Alec Burleson right now? He is red hot. 3 for 5 tonight. A run scored, a home run, 2 runs driven in. Since May 14th, he's batting .345. Since, over the last 12 games, batting .364. That's top 10 in the National League. But here's the part that's exciting me the most about Alec Burleson is what he's doing against left-handed pitching right now. And there's been some talk in the chat tonight about this, and we got smart fans here in St. Louis, best fans in baseball. That I'll repeat that till the day I die. In 2023, Alec Burleson versus left-handed pitching, a .606 OPS, a .260 average. So the power wasn't there, right? It was worse in 2024 when he actually had a full season in the major leagues. 195 batting average, a .515 OPS. This year, a .276 batting average. The OPS still not amazing, .633, right? But over his last 14 at-bats against lefty pitching, he's 7 for 14. They said that on the broadcast tonight. And I think that goes to show that the adjustments, the growth that he is making right now in his career is not platoon splits. And for a guy like Alec Burleson to be hitting against the left side also, or against lefty pitching, is so important because it eventually, with the hope that he continues to trend in the right direction against lefty pitching, you're going to be able to throw him in there regardless of who is on the mound. And right now for the Cardinals, it seems like there is way too many guys that, okay, there's a lefty out there today, so this is the lineup we have to have. There's a righty out there, so this is the guy we have to have. Baseball's becoming more platoon-like, I think, but having consistency and having guys that can hit regardless of the side or the arm that they're throwing with, I think is really important. And, I was encouraged tonight by that and what we saw from Alec Burleson. I've been encouraged by what we've seen from him as of late. He's been the hottest Cardinal hitter in the last probably month, and I look forward to hopefully seeing that continue from him, because he's a guy that right now you're saying there's no reason he shouldn't be in the heart of your lineup. And that's all about what 2025 has been about, is figuring out what you have in these young guys. And because of the way he finished 2024, there was a lot of questions about Alec Burleson if he could do it. And so far, he's proving in 2025 that he most certainly can, and at a very effective level.
If you're just joining us, the Cardinals worked the Sox tonight. Final score 12-2. They had 12 runs on 13 hits. 5 different different players on the Birds. It drove in runs, which shows a little bit of the depth and timeliness that does come into play here. Just an offensive explosion from the Cardinals. Smith's inexperience on the other mound did show a little bit in his appearance, but again, you had Libby that made a solid start, so you can really kind of here it is. Either you can argue one side or the other. One made a really good start, the other one is inexperience showed. So Gorman also back in the lineup, and Newtbar also back at it. So two other contributors here tonight that we hadn't seen in the last couple of games.
Yeah, and let me say this too. I know that there's some people in the chat saying like, "Oh, it's the White Sox. Who cares? Big deal." And I know I already said like my whole thing about the White Sox are still a professional team. I'll tell you this much: the starting pitcher tonight, Shane Smith, for the White Sox, following only going 4 1/3, allowing 5 earned runs, still has a 2.85 ERA this year. So he has been their best pitcher by far this year. He's been very effective. So this is a really good starting pitcher that the Cardinals were able to hit against tonight. I know that they got away with some really soft contact early in the game. They took advantage of some mistakes. That's what you're supposed to do, and the Cardinals were able to do that tonight. So, good stuff tonight from St. Louis offensively. Oh, you know what? We got a White Sox fan that just hopped in the chat.
Yeah.
My Sox got killed. Listen, MLB footage. I'm sorry, man. This obviously this is a Cardinals post-game show, but all I can tell you is stay patient and let's hope that they got some things going over there. Listen, we as Cardinal fans are united with White Sox fans because there is an anti-Chicago Cubs that we are drawn on together. We unite in our hatred for Chicago. So we give you some love and we say hopefully you guys can get back to being a solid team so that eventually the Cubs are not the best team in their own city. Boy, would that be beautiful to have that again. So a tough night for the Sox, no doubt about that. There we go. We hate the Cubs too. Well, you can unite in that always.
Southside over Wrigley all day.
Amen to that. So yeah, Smith obviously had a rough night. Like I said, 4 1/3 innings pitched, 6 hits, 6 runs, 5 of them earned, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. Good stuff tonight from the Birds offense. I'm trying to think. There's so much that we can talk about. What do you want to hit on next, Sarah?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and talk about DraftKings real quick, and then we can talk about another subject. So let's go ahead and discuss that. Baseball season is officially halfway through. All-Star break is just around the corner. Can you believe it's already July? It's time to set up the plate with DraftKings Pick 6. Think DraftKings Pick 6 is your fastball right down the middle. It's the easiest way to play for cash and take a shot at a big win. Cash in your baseball knowledge. New players get $50 in Pick 6 credits instantly on just a $5 entry.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
So many highlights and different perks tonight that we did see out of the Cardinals, but we do have a couple of comments here on what we would like to have discussed. One of them is the trade deadline. Granted, I just mentioned there that it's almost the All-Star break, which is where most of the moves are made. So what do you see, any things that may have changed from the beginning of the year, Ethan, at this point that you really might have gone a different direction on, or maybe something that you see we do need to pick up that you didn't think at the beginning of the year when you didn't?
It is. Here's the thing. If the last 2 weeks have proven anything, it's that it's too early to discuss. And I think we had an idea of the track that it was moving at based off of what we saw from the Cardinals in May. But the past 8 games have kind of proven otherwise, that this team, if the Cardinals are able to prove over the next month, that I would say they have about a month to where they really need to know. If they're able to prove over the next month that they are a legitimate competitor, that there is a realistic shot at finding their way into the postseason, then maybe you look into where you can add to this team. But otherwise, there are still a lot of guys that you could look at and say there will be teams calling about them regardless. So I do not think that you are decided on that right now. Leo saying Arenado's got to go. You find me someone that would take on his contract with the production that he has had this year offensively, hasn't been great, unfortunately. I think he's still contributing to the club in a lot of other ways. Defensively, he's been great. I think he's been more of a leader in that clubhouse than he ever has been, which is great. But there is not with the contract that he has right now, as well as the no trade clause, guys. You forget about that. He was dealt in the offseason and he said no to Houston. I mean, so the list I have to imagine right now is probably pretty small. He likes it here in St. Louis. So I don't think Nolan Arenado at this point is going anywhere. So people are saying Ryan Helsley. He's a guy that you could potentially see the Cardinals moving on from if things do continue to trend in the wrong direction. So it'll be interesting to see. I think there's too much time, though, because we've seen two sides of the Cardinals this year. And they have about a month, like I said, to figure out what really they are before I think before we really know that answer for sure. I think we could get foreshadowing in the next couple of weeks, depending on how they go. But the Cardinals have to be able to prove that they can, get back, be capable of getting back to where they are by year's end. You're saying, okay, this could be a 10 wins above 500 ball club. If you don't feel confident that they can at least get to 86 wins, I don't think that it's real. I don't think there's a point in buying. There's too much young talent for them to buy if they don't feel like they can get to 86 wins. So
I'm still hovering around 90. I know we made that estimate, but
I don't know. I was
a little let down after the Brewer series. I was hoping that was going to go a little bit differently, but when they come back home, I'm still going to pull from the gut and pull from the heart. I hope they get around.
Something else that was Taylor commenting, saying so many outs that Gorman wouldn't get. And I know she's probably talking about. I'm assuming I didn't see what the discussion was in the chat, but something about maybe the comparison between Donovan and Gorman at second. What I will bring up, I saw Gorman brought up in the chat, and I wanted to bring that up. I'm curious as to what the people's thoughts are on Nolan Gorman. Wasn't in the lineup today. He's been one of the hottest hitters in baseball over the past couple of weeks. Over his last 12 games played, I think his OPS is like nearing 1,100. So, I mean, he's been really good. He's clearly seeing the ball well right now. He's been one of the Cardinals' best hitters in recent memory here. So I'm curious as to the fans' thoughts on that. Here's what I think. I think Ali Marmol is stuck in a catch-22 with him. He is screwed if he does. He's screwed if he doesn't, because someone is going to miss out on playing time regardless. The two options, right, that you feel like you can roll with is him or Burleson. And we talked already. We spent plenty of time on how good Alec Burleson's been. So you're stuck in this really tough spot right now between, well, if you're going to put Nolan Gorman in there, then someone is going to lose out on at-bats, and I don't know who that is. So I think they're in a different spot where they're going to have to force Gorman is forcing Marmol's hand right now more to where we're going to see, I think, more split time. He's going to be in the mix more than he was, but I don't think it's as clear as one guy's playing every day, one guy's not. Samuel's saying, play the hot hand. Who's not hot right now? Like who would be losing out on playing time right now? I don't know who. I mean, I think Marmol's going to try his best to get a mix of all those guys playing. But right now, the way that Burleson is playing, he has to be in there. Samuel's saying sit Nootbaar. That can't happen, because if Lars Nootbaar doesn't get back to being the leadoff guy that he was, then this team is going nowhere. And I may or may not have stolen that quote from it wasn't exactly, but something similar to what Ali Marmol said on Gas House Gang this morning. Newt has to play, because if this team if they can't get Newt back to being right, then the vision for 2025, nothing. They're not going to be a playoff team if Lars Nootbaar is not an impactful part of this lineup. They just won't. Well,
and of course you have Victor Scott, Mason Wynn. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, everyone's starting to contribute. So like you're not going to, like you said, lose if you can't figure out where some of your weak spots are going to capitalize. So, I mean, you have a point. Like this is a good position to be in, except that it has to be on the winning side all the time. It can't be on the opposite side. Totally. Because that's where frustration comes in.
Brian brings up a good point. He's saying maybe you could platoon Gorman and Herrera at DH for a little while. Maybe, perhaps, but like, why would you take Herrera out of the lineup right now? I mean, he's been one. I mean, he's got to be making at least putting his name as of this point for Rookie of the Year arguments, right? I mean, I just don't know how you can consider taking him out. Like I said, it's probably going to be everyone losing a little bit of time. I don't know if it's going to be as simple as it's these two guys splitting one position. I think it's probably going to be a little bits and pieces of trying to find some equal playing time for everyone at this point. Listen, it's a tough spot to be in, but I would much rather them be having to make these decisions because everyone is hitting well rather than not having enough of them hitting well. Like you just said, Sarah, that was a great point. So I will take that.
On the other side, and it's not good.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just glad I'm not Ollie Marmol. He's getting paid the big bucks to make those decisions. Something else that I know I saw a comment earlier in there also is that I was something about Riley O'Brien and what we saw from him tonight. Riley O'Brien looked excellent tonight, and he's looked really good in his last couple of outings. I don't have any numbers as to his last couple. I can pull them up here real quick, but Riley O'Brien is looking more and more comfortable on a major league mound with every single appearance right now. And he's looking, it's still super early, super small amount that we have seen him. But as I take a look here, his last 3 outings now have been scoreless. He's got he's got a strikeout in each of them. Like I said, super small sample size, but you talk about you always needing bullpen pieces, and there's been times here over the past couple of weeks where the bullpen hasn't been at its sharpest. They've blown a couple of leads. If you can add Riley O'Brien to the mix as another competitive arm that you can rely on, it's only going to put you in a better place. He was a guy that a lot of people were excited about coming up in 2024, made that opening day roster, and then he had the injury that sidelined him for pretty much for the rest of the 2024 season beyond the first couple of weeks of the year. So if you could get him to being a legitimate arm and a piece that's going to consistently contribute to that bullpen, boy, that would be great. And I'd be really excited about that. So Riley O'Brien, fans, keep an eye out. Good stuff from him tonight, and has shown an ability to throw multiple innings, which is never a bad thing as well.
No, especially when the Cardinals do sometimes need those extra innings, because a lot of the starters, as we know, don't go as deep as we had hoped too often when they get the balls. So tomorrow it's Sonny Gray and Sean Burke. Sonny 7-2, Burke 3-7 with a 4.71 ERA, only 54 Ks. Sonny with 3.84 so far this season. Of course, he's had his ups and downs, but looking for a rebound here and hopefully another start that can take him pretty deep into the game and hopefully not use too many arms out of the pen.
Yeah, Sonny Gray has been phenomenal following his bad starts. He's only had 3 or 4 really bad ones this year, which I mean, define that's a subjective term. So but he has, following those not so great starts, he's been phenomenal. I mean, it's like a 0.5 ERA in those 3 starts up to this point. So especially against the White Sox lineup that isn't great, I expect him to turn it on tomorrow and be really solid. That is a hitter's ballpark, so keep an eye out on that. He has been bitten a few times by the home run ball during his time with the Cardinals, so perhaps he could be a little be cautious of that. Overall, though, I'm excited to see what Ryan Helsley can do. It'd be great if the Cardinals could lock up a series win tomorrow, and then all of a sudden you're playing for a potential sweep. That would be great. But good stuff tonight from Matthew Liberatore, on the build on. Let's hope that the old saying is you're only as good as your next day's starting pitcher. Let's hope that the momentum continues to build tomorrow for St. Louis.
All right. So is that your final thought for this evening then, Ethan?
There's one more final thought.
Helsley haters. There's quite a few Helsley haters that have chimed in here in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, there has been. Asking if we trade Helsley. Like I said, I don't think we have an answer right now. I think that there is. They could. It depends on what happens in the next few weeks. It really does. I don't know if anyone right now in the Cardinal organization, because of the past 2 weeks of play, knows really if they're going to be buying or selling at the deadline. It might be a little bit of both. And in that case, if there was a world where they're buying and selling, the most realistic options would be selling off a starting pitcher and or Ryan Helsley. So we'll see if that ends up happening, but it's not as clear right now. He has been getting hit around a little bit more as of late. The numbers against the fastball aren't good. There's also been a little bit of random luck in there. I'm still not at the point where I'm super concerned about Ryan Helsley. I still think that a lot of the underlying stuff is looking okay. So I'm not at panic point, but we'll see what happens with Ryan Helsley. What I was going to bring up, right, is that there were some people in the chat that have been talking a lot about Tommy Edman tonight. And the reason they're talking about Tommy Edman is they're talking about the All-Star voting. Because the first round of voting, I guess the numbers just came out. And at second base, Ketel Marte is in first, and Tommy Edman is in second. Brendan Donovan is down in fourth, and there's no reason that Brendan Donovan shouldn't be top 2 right now. As we know, it's fan voting. Cardinals fans have never been super active in the fan voting. So here's what I'll say. If you're not happy about it, but you're not voting, then you are a part of the problem. I put in my 5 votes today for Brendan Donovan. So, you got to do your part, Cardinal fans. So let's get him to the All-Star game. I think even if he doesn't get voted in by the fans, he would at worst be the one representative for St. Louis. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But let's get him in on the fan vote. Come on, let's back Brendan Donovan. He's been so good. We love Donnie Boy. And, let's get him to Atlanta.
I couldn't agree more. So get off your tails and vote. No pun intended.
You can be on your tails and still vote. You can vote on your tail. Just get your dang phone out.
I love it. Get off your bird tails. Be on your bird tail. I don't care. Oh, and speaking of, Fredbird was voted into the Mascot Hall of Fame. So there you go. We at least have one solidified entry there for Fredbird. So congrats to him. A great mascot for the Birds and someone that everybody loves. So once again, that is Ethan Hannaford. I'm Sara Dayley. We appreciate you joining us here for this conversation. Of course, we love you weighing in. Subscribe, like, chat, join in the convo, share your thoughts, vent, whatever you would like to do. We're here mostly every night after every post game, whether it's myself, Ethan, or anybody else on the crew. And the Birds right back at it tomorrow. First pitch around 6:40 against the White Sox. Hopefully victory number 2 on the south side. And we'll see you right back here on STL Sports Central. Have a good night.